Right, so I figured we continue the hanging with the Hasidics. It looks like it's a three-part series. We just watched part one. Part two looks like it's specifically maybe about I think his name was Rabbi Yone Katz, this gentleman, him and his family. So let's jump into it.
So when the pandemic started and people were quarantined and locked down, the thought of staying with your family and your kids inside the whole day was sort of, scary.
I think a lot of people had that sentiment after a while. They were kind of like, can we send our kids back to school, or can we have a little bit of, a little bit more space between us?
It made you realize what life's all about. In a certain sense, the pandemic rebalanced the focus and the purpose of life.
Oh, interesting. So you still turn your pages from right to left, but then you read from right to left. You don't read from left to right. That's interesting. Cool. I would have assumed that the book would have been the opposite way. I don't know why. I guess just because of the way that it's being read, I assume the pages went. Because I think that's how mangas, the Japanese books, are done. Yeah, cool. Is there like specific pages that you would go to? Because it looked like you kind of flipped through a few pretty fast there.
I think families became stronger through the long run. You'll hear more about the day-to-day of what it takes to raise and maintain a Hasidic home and raise the next generation of Hasidic Jews. Welcome to my Hasidic home, and this is it.
Wow. So it looks like he's got, I guess, what we would consider like a semi-detached, where you have a house, but it is attached to another house.
Yanko, you may remember Yanko from the last video.
Yanko.
This is Pearlie, my niece. This is my daughter, Hannah. Thank God we have 8.
Hannah. Oh, that's a nice name. I really like that. Thank God we have 8 kids. Whoa, last time he was 7, so I guess they were busy during that time.
8 kids. So people want to know, how do you do it? And my answer is the same. You got to talk to my wife.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Legit.
Come, let's go inside. Hey, like your Mickey Mouse sweatshirt.
Oh my goodness. I could not imagine having 8 kids at home and then just my wife dealing with the 8 kids. Maybe she's not by herself. Maybe she's got her mother or mother-in-law or something like that. But because it seems like the men are usually out of the house for a good portion of the day, right?
Come on in. You're welcome.
Come on in.
I even have my little
Broha Yone's mother-in-law. Okay. So there you go.
granddaughter saying her
Yeah,
morning prayers from her prayer book.
Morning prayers.
Goodbye before we start.
All these kids are eating ice cream in the morning. That's funny. This lady has a very, very beautiful smile, very welcoming, very warm.
Hi, Shmuley boy. The first time we met, within 5 minutes, I knew.
What was it?
It can't be explained. It's something internal.
Yeah, I'd say I had the same thing with my wife. As soon as I met her, I kind of knew that she was the one.
Like, it's a recognition of, like, we already belong together. We went on like 11 meetings, like we met 11 times, and like 2.5 weeks later we were engaged.
It's an interesting way of saying it. 11 meetings. So are they not considered dates? They're just kind of considered like get-togethers. You kind of feel each other's vibes and kind of thing. which to me, I guess, would be what a date is. But
literally. But it was.
wait,
it was,
what was that?
This was like 2.5 weeks later, we were engaged.
Wow.
Literally. But it was. This was after years of meeting other people, and no, and then when you meet the right one, you just know.
Okay, I guess I could kind of see that. Like, I think before my wife was my wife, yeah, like I had that vibe right away. Like I had been with other people, it was what it was. But then once I met her, I kind of like knew. Didn't get engaged that quickly though. 2 weeks. Wow.
And you know, because you're not looking for just a loving, fun relationship, but you're looking literally for someone to share your life with. And so the bar was very high, and I wasn't going to settle. And
Good for you.
And we thank God every day.
Now, my question would be, how young is she currently, or how young would she have been when she got engaged / married? Because to have 8 kids, your kids have to be, I'd say, pretty close to one another. So it's kind of like always a constant period of like being pregnant, having birth, like giving birth, and then like a fast turnaround kind of thing. And all her kids kind of look like maybe a year, 2 years apart.
What we do very often is we say one of the most famous verses, how the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, is an inheritance for every Jew. It's like part of us. So if he wants to, he'll be able to say the verse word by word, and the other kids will respond. 1, 2, 3.
Now, how early on do the kids start to learn like the morning prayers and the praying themselves? Because it looked like those girls were pretty young. And also, I think I was reading, somebody said like once they passed the age of 13, they could like lead readings and whatnot. So do you start like once you're kind of able to speak and read, you start learning these prayers?
3 go.
Tyra,
Tyra,
Siva,
Siva,
Lanu,
Lanu,
Maisha,
Maisha,
Maywasha,
Myasha, David all the way from Surfside, Florida.
Florida. I guess this is maybe his cousin. That's really cute. I like hearing little kids speaking. It's so cute to hear their lisps and their accents and them getting into like themselves.
Shema, Yisrael, Hashem, Bechol, Dar, Vadar, Chayam, Adam, Pi, Karay, Elecha, Hadabar, Ba'ay. And this is our son Mendel.
Okay, so even her... Hey, Mendel. Okay, so he was the young one. He was the youngest one from the first video. So it looks like the other son, who she was maybe holding on the couch, must be the newest one. And so Hannah must be his eldest, I think he said. That's cool.
Just turned 3, and now till 3 years old, we don't cut the hair. But we want to show that when a kid, till they're 3 years old, let them be their natural selves. And that's when you have like the natural sort of fundamental understanding of life. Once they turn 3, you cut the hair and you leave the payas, the corners.
Okay, so pronounced payas, I guess. I thought it was like payot, because of that Y in there. Maybe it's just the way he's saying it, or maybe it is payas. But that's interesting that they say the corners, because I don't consider... I mean, I guess you consider corners at corners, but like a head is kind of round, so it's not really cornered. But I could see it. I could also see that.
And that represents that throughout life you can have all these big ideas and creative ideas, and you always have to make sure that it comes down into an action, the payas. So we don't cut this area. So he just had his upshurnish, that's what it's called, his first hair cutting.
Upshurnish, okay. So that's first hair cutting, got you, upshurnish.
Mendel, is there anything you want to say to the camera? Okay.
He's so
So
shy.
women
It's
are
cute.
invited into all the prayer and all the, but like over the holiday, I didn't go to synagogue 3 times a day like my husband did because I'm busy with the children. And
I mean, yeah, you got 8 kids to take care of. I can understand why you don't have the time to, head over to the synagogue. So yeah, so the men go to the synagogue 3 times a day, or I guess during this holiday season that she's talking about, maybe.
it's not like, well, it's, he's doing the holy work and I'm staying home busy with the baby. The holier work is taking care of the baby.
Oh, for sure.
We're partners with God.
I would agree there. I would say, taking care of kids is definitely a tough job. And if you got 8 or more, that's a lot.
We help bring another soul into the world. And until my baby is capable of taking care of himself, I'm there for him. That doesn't feel like a burden. That's not like, oh, I wish I could be somewhere else. That's like the greatest honor in the world.
I mean, it's great that she has that sentiment, because there's quite a few people that I know that say that like having a kid, quote unquote, ruins your life, or like you don't get to have fun anymore. Like, I see my daughter growing up and I think it's just a blessing every day to see that. So I never have that sentiment, but I do know quite a few people who say that kind of stuff, and I just kind of think like, probably shouldn't have a kid.
I had everything. I was good before I got married. I was doing great. I had everything. I was, successful, and it wasn't enough. I wanted my husband. I want my children. I yearn for them. So to be with them, that's the holy work. And then if I also have time to pray, God is like, wow, you're taking care of my precious child and you have time to pray to me.
So Carrie, just curious, I've noticed that him and her have both said God. Not to say that you can't say God, but most of the time, maybe it's just a song, I don't know, but I always hear Hashem, that kind of thing. Is it just kind of how you feel? Is it whenever is it interchangeable, as long as it's not like using his name in vain kind of thing?
Amazing. And who makes everybody necessary comes from the woman's yearning. So we just had an incredible week, a whole week of Passover in my mother's home. And you can't imagine what was going on, the amount of people here, the amount of food, the amount of action, but what brought us all together here, what made it all possible, is my mother's yearning.
Okay, so yearning is a very big part of the culture, it seems, especially some of the songs we've heard. A lot of people have described that yearning, that longing. She's mentioned it quite a few times, her mother's.
She wanted us all here, and we all felt that.
Her mom has aged very well too. She's got some great genes.
This is my dad. He is Rabbi Weberman, the chief rabbi of Miami Beach.
Is Bibi Netanyahu, and this is my father, who is greeting him and welcoming him to the city of Miami Beach.
Bibi Netanyahu, I probably butchered his last name. What is the significance of this gentleman, Bibi? And do you guys know this guy, the rabbi of the Miami Beach?
So this guest book was a gift from my mother-in-law to my husband, her son. For your 50th birthday, here is my gift on an empty book with countless pages, but very soon they will start to fill up with thanks and appreciation. And her biggest wish is that this should be filled up very soon, and she'll give him another book for people to.
That's a pretty cool idea, and it's nice that it's like right at the door entrance, or the entrance of the house, kind of like a sign-in book. You can write whatever you want in there. That's very nice.
Fill up.
And how full are we now?
Oh, very full, down to the bottom.
And so every home is built on a woman's yearning, and the husband responds to the woman's yearning and gives her a home and gives her himself and gives her children and provides anything she needs to satisfy her yearning.
Now, question. not to say that a man wouldn't want 8 kids, but say he only wanted like 3 and he was good with 3, but the woman says, no, I want 5 or I want 7. Is he then like, I don't want to say forced or obligated, but is that something as the, I guess the like as in a partnership, he then fulfills that yearning, that need for her? Or do they just kind of come to a consensus like he doesn't think he could do it? Maybe it's not feasible, I don't know, to have more than 3 kids, right? Okay, the kosher kitchen.
Oh, you'll just come on.
Yeah.
Welcome into my most favorite room of the house, which is the kosher kitchen. Do you know anything about kosher? I'll give you a quick crash course on kosher. Come.
I've learned a little bit. Somehow, I mean, I was a little confused last video on what kosher, how sushi was kosher, but you guys have let me know fish are kosher as long as they're scale, or if they have scales and fins. So like tuna and whatnot, but not sharks, because sharks, I guess, have skin, not scales. Very interesting.
Come on in. Notice if there are any slight differences in a kosher kitchen than a regular kitchen.
Well, I mean, she's got 2 ovens. Most kitchens I know don't typically have 2 ovens, but they do. It seems like you guys do cook a lot of like family style meals or like large meals. So maybe it's just for convenience of.
Tell me when you give up.
2 cookers.
Double ovens,
Yeah, so okay, double oven. Oh, double sinks too.
double sinks,
Okay.
double dishwashers,
Oh.
and double microwaves. And it's not because it was buy one, get one free the day we bought them. In the Bible, there's a verse, Lo sevashel gedi b'chalev imo. The translation is, do not cook the kid goat in its mother's milk.
Do not cook the kid goat in its mother's milk. So when I will cook my meat, I will only use my meat oven. Oh, wow. So the separate oven is okay.
So when I will cook my meat, I will only use my meat oven. When I'm cooking my dairy, I will only use my dairy side oven.
Oh, wow. Okay. So literally the kitchen is split exactly into like a mirror image. And one side, whenever you cook meat and stuff, you use that oven, that sink, that dishwasher, that microwave. And then dairy, vice versa, that oven, that. Wow. Okay. I would hate to be the person who messed that up. She probably doesn't let too many people use her kitchen. Like, she's the main cook, I would assume, unless maybe it's her daughter.
The kitchen. Any animal that chew the cuds and have split hooves can be used for kosher consumption.
Chew the cuds. What is a cud? Okay. So, such as
cows and sheep and goats and lambs, but it has to go through a ritual slaughtering process.
Okay, so I know that, and it's like all the blood needs to be drained, I believe. That's what it is, right?
In order for us to be able to use that kosher kind of an animal. Blood is not kosher. So therefore, all the blood from this kosher meat that was just slaughtered by a ritual slaughter needs to be drawn out. The only kosher poultry that we would use.
Now, before we get into the poultry, what would be considered a ritual slaughter? Is it that a rabbi is there when the slaughtering is happening? Or is it, because I can't imagine like all these butchers, maybe these butchers are rabbis, or is the ritual the draining of the blood? Is that what the ritual slaughter is? Like, I'm maybe thinking maybe it has to be blessed in some way, but maybe that's an off idea there.
Today is what we know traditionally our ancestors use, and that would be chickens, turkey, duck, geese. Every single egg.
Okay. Chicken, turkey, duck, geese. I mean, that's, I guess, pretty standard. You wouldn't eat, what, like pheasants and quails? I don't know what other kind of duck or poultry I'm thinking of here. Geese, very interesting. I've never had geese, I don't think. I've had duck for sure, and the other two. But geese, I've never had a geese or a goose. They're a protected animal here in Canada, so you can't just go around killing geese.
That I will use. I first crack it open to a little glass dish and I inspect the yolk to see if there's any blood spots. Doesn't happen too often,
Wow.
but I do find.
So every egg. That's some dedication for sure. I mean, yeah, you don't, I mean, I would just not want to have the blood in general because that's kind of gross. It had nothing to do with it being kosher, but I mean, yeah, you don't find it too often, but when you do, it's kind of off-putting for sure.
When you look for it, you find it. Now, let's say you're traveling somewheres and you may be in a place where
I like how she added the S there, somewheres.
they do have kosher or they don't have kosher food, so you'll do a little research in advance to find out if you can purchase your kosher food there. But if nothing is available, then you would bring your food along.
There's no difference.
So, I mean, how would that work? Maybe you just wouldn't do a long trip, but I'm thinking, like, say you were going away for a week and you realize nothing in the area would have been kosher. You're not going to be bringing a week's worth of food, are you? You would just maybe not go or do like a shorter trip kind of thing?
Between like who's going to be cooking, who's going to be cleaning, who's going to be, that's whatever works for each couple. The main thing is that the woman should be able to be her natural self. What's her natural self? In touch with her yearning. Big boy, what'd you get?
Back to the yearning. Okay. Yeah, I mean, my wife and I do that too. Like, we break up chores, I guess, or who's doing what for the day or for the night. If somebody cooks, then the other person cleans. If somebody, cleans, the other one does the garbage, that kind of thing.
Yes. Ooh. It's amazing.
Sweet.
Lucky you. Lucky you. The first man was Adam, and he was male and female in one body. But God said, it's not good for man to be alone.
Wow, I've never heard of it that way. I just always heard it as woman was made from man, like Eve was made from the rib of Adam. I've never heard of it like Eve was always a part of Adam and then God just took her out. That's a cool way of looking at it.
So he's a normal human being, he's male and female, but he's alone. So God separated the female from the male, and God said, but don't stay apart. You can't stay separate. That's not natural. Come back together.
This kid is so cute.
But this time, when you come back together, you're going to choose the oneness. And so marriage is actually not a union, but a reunion. It's bringing back two parts that were one back together.
Very, very cool way of looking at it. It's not a union, it's a reunion. I could buy it. I could definitely see that. I've always said to my wife, I felt like I've known her in another life, or, we work so well together that, she was the one for me type of thing. So I could definitely see that, yeah.
I got a coloring book.
You got another coloring book?
Yeah.
Okay, show me how you make the circles.
Will. I want to do it.
You want to do it? Shayna, this is great.
My sister. This is Shayna, and in Yiddish, the name Shayna means beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. Shayna. Beautiful. Yeah, even her her outfit. It's very what's the word? Not yeah, I guess modest. It's very modest looking.
Shane.
Do that another time. I'll tell you about that.
Shane, what is that?
It's a trophy for cracking the best knuckles.
Is it?
They made this
They made it.
of their hands, right?
It's a trophy for whoever could
Crack the knuckles the best and the longest, and my one because she always cracks her knuckles.
Oh, I love when kids ramble on and say the darndest things. That's why that show did so well back in the day. I definitely would take that trophy from her, though. I crack my knuckles all the time.
Marriage means I want you. So we don't date until we're able to say that. I want you in my life. You're missing, not something you're gonna give me.
So they don't date, but she said they did meetings. So until you say I want you, you don't technically go on a date, but you do the meetings?
You are missing in my life. Then we tell family, relatives, do you know somebody, I'm looking. And then there's matchmakers. In our community, there's many, many matchmakers. And then when we go out, we don't date for the sake of dating. And we don't have any dating relationships. We meet.
Okay.
We meet people. And it's, sometimes after the first date, you're like, nice guy, but not for me. You do a lot of...
I mean, I feel like that's what the purpose of a date is to see if you guys have that chemistry, that connection. But yeah, maybe there's other strings attached with a date versus just a meet and greet type of thing. What you say here, you do a lot of research before you actually meet. Okay.
Research before you actually meet. You call his employer, you call his friends, you call anybody that knows his family.
You call his employer? What? How does that conversation happen? Hey, I'm interested in Yoni and I just want to know, how is he as an employee? Wow, okay, that's surprising.
Anyone and you find out, is he the kind of person that I would want to marry? First, it has to make sense on paper. Then you actually go to meet and see if there's the attraction, if the chemistry is there.
Wow, okay. To me, that seems a little, I don't want to say backwards, but I guess not intuitive in that sense. Like, I would say you'd probably meet the person first and then go back and do like a pros and cons list of like, well, he was great, but da-da-da, instead of being like, you did all your research and then you meet them. I guess either way, if they don't match, then it's not worth it, but yeah.
But we don't want to waste people's time. God told Eve, who was the first woman, you will yearn for your husband. Might make it seem like she's going to be the needy one and her husband is going to be the one answering her call because she yearns. But what does it mean to yearn? To yearn for that oneness, to say female is not enough, I want my male part, is to be God-like.
She's got such a nice smile, this lady. And that's okay, so that's interesting. I mean, I guess a lot of people would consider that like a needy thing because she kept saying like a woman yearns for this, the man does it, the woman yearns for this, the man does it. Or he will, try to get it done kind of thing. But I think, yeah, that's just a partnership. I don't think that's a needy thing.
Guys, come this way. Okay, just
So yeah, it looks like there's not much of a, like, I guess a backyard in these kinds of housing situations, or like the backyard I guess I'm thinking of as more like a grass backyard, somewhere where the kids can play in the grass and roll around and stuff. This is all very concrete jungle.
do some tricks. I'm gonna try to steal the ball away from him, and I can't. Ready, Enko?
This is what dads got to do, they got to pretend that they can't get it away from the kid, even though he knows he can get it.
But the problem is, I taught him everything he knows. Watch this. Oh! I can't get it. But look, I'm still the father, and he can't get it from me. Oh! If he gets it.
I could imagine it'd be a little bit difficult to play in the suits, you know, in that kind of his outfit that he's wearing. His son has, I think, a little bit more freedom in his clothing, but him with the jacket and the suit and all that stuff seems it might be a little restrictive to have fun in games, you know.
In, he gets a free ice cream. Whoa! Touchdown! Okay, Shayna, your turn. Come. Are you trying to score? Just try, Shayna. Come on. You can do it. Oh, go!
That's a real dad there. He offered her the ice cream. She didn't get it, but he made her get it.
Mother, you like playing soccer too, right? Or football? No. No? Yeah, so thank you for visiting Hasidic Brooklyn. It's been an honor to welcome you into our house, into our family, and to meet Shmuley, the youngest of 8.
Shmuley, that's a cute name. I wonder if in the third video, depending, I guess, on the time between each one of these, if there's going to be a 9th child.
And anytime, you're always invited. So if you have a talent, like you do, in creativity and photography and film, you should use it for the best purposes, the holiest purposes. And there's nothing holier than bringing people together and humans into the world. And whatever you're at the right time, at the right stage, we wish you all the success and blessings in the world. So nice to see you again.
Such positivity, such kindness, such an open heart. I love that. And yeah, his wife just beaming with that smile, you know?
Subscribe, smash that like button.
That's cute. That's really, really cute. Well, definitely hit that like button for sure on this video. You guys, I'm gonna link this video in the description below. Go check it out. Definitely a longer style video. I do apologize, but I'm learning a lot, and I thought this might be a different take instead of just the music. You know, maybe we could see some documentaries or some takes. A few of you have already linked some other kind of videos, so we'll definitely check those out. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next one.